Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, boys, and girls, to the Broverwatch podcast. My name is Adam Cook, and I am joined, as always, by Calder Amos Wood. Calder, how you feeling?
I'm sorry. I was just having a domestic dispute with my Google Home.
Oh.
It won't turn my TV off.
Well, have you pressed the power button?
I don't... On, like, a remote?
Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who don't know, the Broverwatch podcast is a podcast where two little boys, or big boys, depending on how big you are, get to...
What the fuck was that?
Get together and talk about Overwatch League related news, events, fun, goofs, players, coaches, analysts, casters, boys, girls. We talk about it all. We discuss our opinions
anymore.
and hot takes on all of those things. And you can leave your opinions on what we talk about in the comments below if you feel inclined to do so. And we will respond ampedly or promptly. Either
one. I don't actually know.
Anyway, today we've got a special episode for you. As you can see, for those of you watching, you may see that the format of the video is slightly different. We are not side by side. We are top and bottom. Of course, I'm the top. So.
Well, I'm a power bottom though.
I don't like.
I bring the power.
The reason this is because on either side of our current faces, we will be displaying Calder and my personal team power rankings because...
Did you label which is which?
Yes.
Lucky.
The league is in just a week, boys. Very excited. So we figured, hey, what better time than now to say our prediction power rankings. Now, this is not us saying this is going to be the standings at the end of the season. This isn't us saying this is week one standings. Because that's not possible. Because most people a lot of teams are gonna have the same record.
Yeah.
This is just us saying, from what we've seen, what we've heard, what we know, these are the best to the worst teams. Sound good? And then we will debate throughout it, and then by the end we will produce an official Broverwatch podcast power rankings list.
Now, this does not mean that we're speaking for the other writers because they did their own. You should go check that out on the website.
Exactly. That's why I'm calling it the Broverwatch podcast power rankings list. But yeah, just to be clear, this is not theirs. This is ours because most likely we disagree because no one agrees on anything, which is why this podcast is going to be tough. But why don't we
we hate each other.
Why don't we just get started? I'm just going to put the full lists on screen for those watching. So you can just read them, whatever. Skip ahead to our arguing points if you want to. If you're listening, we're just going to go from bottom to top and discuss how much we disagree and hate each other.
That's fair. Yeah, I hate you a lot.
So here's my list, and here's Calder's list. Now let the debating begin. Well,
we agree on the first one.
Yeah, well, the last one. We're starting last.
Well... Okay.
Oh, do you mean the first that we're talking about?
The first that we're talking about, obviously.
Yeah, but it's the last on the list. Florida Mayhem, we both agree, is going to be the worst team. Now, a lot of you may be thinking, yeah. So I don't even know if there's much to discuss here. That boy's going to stay at the bottom.
And, here's the thing. They're not going to go 0-28, probably. They're going to win a couple, but I don't think they're going to...
They just seem very dysfunctional and disorganized and bad.
Who's the new player they just brought on? Did they bring on another player recently?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
But, yeah, it's not looking good for the Florida Mayhem. Just everything about it's bad. The general manager is currently doing an AMA on Reddit, and one of the top comments was, the average salary for a bus driver is $31,000. Don't you think Tavik is being paid a little too much? And I'm like, that's funny.
He's not going to play.
Now, so also, while we're doing this, I'm just going to be plugging in stuff into the Broverwatch Power Rankings list. So that one's an easy go at 20. It's the 20th team. So I just put that in. Now, already we disagree.
Yeah.
On who?
Well, it's because you're wrong.
Well, it's also because you're wrong. Actually, yeah, it's because you're wrong. I have the Washington Justice as my 19th spot, and Calder has the Chengdu Hunters.
Where do you have them?
Chengdu Hunters?
Not that far away.
No.
Although, so we agree that they're bottom tier.
I agree. We both agree that both of these teams are bottom tier, obviously. But who is more bottom tier is the question. And we don't have to answer that now, but we'll get to it. Here's my argument for Washington being worse than Chengdu. A lot of people are arguing against Chengdu just because not everybody knows a lot of the players. Not a lot of the players have played together. Not a lot of the players have played much higher than Contenders Trials, if I remember correctly. But I do feel like there is chemistry between a couple pairs or maybe like groups of 3 in that team. There's at least some chemistry there that is pre Overwatch League, whereas Washington Justice there's not much there at all, and it not nearly as much as Florida Mayhem, but it also seems very disorganized.
Okay, I can see that.
But here's why you're wrong. I can see that, but here's why you're wrong.
Well, like, it makes sense. Like, we agree they're bottom tier. The only like we're arguing over 2 or 3 wins.
Yeah.
But the reason I put Washington where I did was because I just think they have a little more skill.
Like a little more veteran play?
Yeah, they have Giannis and Otto. Giannis, for people do say he was not good, but he was still on the best team in the league.
Yeah.
So that does count for something. As well as having a coach that at a time was like, what, 30-2, 30-3?
Yeah.
So I feel like people are being a little dramatic
about the Justice.
Yeah, like, I don't know. But their weakness is literally every other position besides those two.
Yeah.
So I think those two can win a couple games. Brady and Belichick are winning Super Bowls left and right, okay, boys? So Giannis and Wizard Young can win 2 or 3 more games than Chengdu.
Well, I'm also looking at the Washington Justice roster, and they've got 8 players. They've got 8. They've got 3 healers, 2 tanks, 3 DPS. But if you look at Chengdu,
they have Corey too, right?
Yes. Yeah,
Corey's pretty good.
But if you look at Chengdu, they have 10. And I know it's only 2 more, but that just gives you a lot more flexibility. They have 4 tanks, whereas Washington only has 2.
Here's the thing, though.
I just feel like Chengdu has more flexibility, is all I'm saying.
1 point. You could put all 12 of our friends in our friend group on a team. Doesn't make us good.
I know. But there's also some good players on Chengdu, like Yang Xiaolong and Yveltal, Late Young.
I actually think I'm probably being kind of a doucher with this because I feel like I forgot that. But I'm just going to stick to them and argue until my head pops. So there you go.
We don't have to put someone at 19 yet, but I think we've both argued our case for 19.
Yeah, I think we can kind of agree that it's Washington at 19.
That it's Washington at 19?
Yeah, I'll submit that Washington's 19.
Okay, I will put Washington Justice at 19. Now here's where things are going to get a little spicy. I feel like this is just going to go to Chengdu just because this spot is 1 away from where I put Chengdu and 1 away from where you put Chengdu, so that just makes sense. But just for the sake of the content, let's argue. At 18, I put the Boston Uprising, and you did not put Boston Uprising that low at all.
No.
you put Washington here. You put Washington here. So
Yeah,
this
I
is
put
just an argument over whether Boston should be this low.
I don't think they should.
Why?
They've got a pretty good DPS score that's kind of unknown. Like people,
A DPS core of 2.
yes, but they're still pretty good. Blase, Gladiators, Legion, Color Hex from Sydney Drop Bears, I believe. They've got one of the best divas in the league.
Hmm.
Probably top 7.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say
That's
so.
a league estimate.
That being note, just to...
They've got one of the better main tanks in the league.
Are you talking about Gamzu or Fusions?
Gamzu. But they've also got Fusions.
On a 2-way, but still good to have them there.
Yeah, and they've got Axiom too, who's, from what I understand, very good. And then the only weakness is their supports a little bit, but Aim God is still good, and we don't know how much he's been practicing over the summer.
Aim God, pretty good. Kellick's pretty good, and they have Alamau. I see.
Alamau was a standout on Brazil.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But my main thing here is they lost a lot, and they only gained a little bit.
Neko. Yeah.
Striker, Neko, mistakes.
But it's not as much about individual skill to me.
I know that.
It's more about how the team plays together. And this team could be a train wreck.
Could be.
From what we've heard about their coaching staff, which I'm not sure if that's still a problem.
Now, here's what I've heard in a lot of like power rankings videos and stuff is they put Boston somewhat low, but not super low. And they pretty much say, it seems like they should be bad, but everyone thought that they were going to be bad in season 1, and then they surprised. Mm-hmm. So maybe that can happen again. And it's like, yeah, but you could say that about any team, and just because they surprised before doesn't mean they're going to surprise again.
Have you ever watched a New England Patriots team?
Unfortunately, I did recently.
That was a dog shit football team.
Yeah.
Like, that's a bad football team. I don't know how they won, but like they're just kind of what this Boston team is, which is just like a bunch of little pieces put together. And
Hot
who do
take.
they have in common?
Robert Kraft.
He dances with young women, and he likes to win championships, baby.
I'm going to agree, just to make this easier
That
and
Robert
end this
Kraft is a
nightmare, we're going to put Chengdu at 18. Because I put it at 17 and you put it at 19, so it makes sense that it should go here. So we'll put Chengdu Hunters at 18. I'm willing to hold off on the Boston. You've convinced me that they are a bit better than I think they're.
One of
my
the
main
worst
concern,
teams.
well, that's to be argued. I think Chengdu is going to surprise people a little bit. But my main concern is they only have 2 DPS. And I know it's GOATS meta right now, but we are already exiting GOATS meta a little bit.
But their DPS are fairly flexible. Which,
Yeah. But what if one of them hurts their wrist?
Or get suspended for 2 games.
Well, then I guess then Aim God could jump in, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm not too worried about the 2 DPS thing. Especially if you're picking them up in fantasy, which you probably should as a little sleeper.
So I'm going to hold out on attacking Boston. I don't think they should be as high as you put them. But I'll hold out for a little bit. Next up, 17, I put Chengdu Hunters. You put Toronto Defiant.
Yes.
Interesting choice.
Now, here's the thing. I was making this list, and as I was getting down the list, there was no spot where I was like, yes, the Defiant's better than these teams. Like, I don't think they're better than Shanghai. Like, Outlaws, I don't think they're better than those teams. I don't think they'll finish ahead of them. So it's not as much that Toronto's deserves to be in this spot, but it's just like when I was making the list, I was like, I don't know where they fit, and they just ended up being low. You know?
I kind of had the same thing, but I just put them a little... Why did I put them that high?
Yeah.
I don't think that they're... I would put them at 16.
Mm-hmm. So you think they should be the next spot? I think we can just agree that they're the next
You know
spot.
what? I'm just going to put Toronto there. Yeah. Here's the thing about Toronto. As someone... We both should be repping Toronto, really, if you think about it. But neither of us really are. I just don't think they have a beefy enough team to really do much. I feel like they've
got Neko, Envy, who had a short-lived Overwatch League career.
I'm gonna say really sure. A hot take. It kind of seems like they're the B team.
Yeah, like they'd be a good
academy team.
Subs.
No, maybe not academy team, but yeah, it seems like it's just the subs from a bunch of teams going onto a team.
It also kind of feels like they had a bunch of players they were gonna get or they thought they were gonna get, and then they just didn't.
And then they missed out. Yeah.
Unless because picking up Envy, who's obviously a good player, but
he's doing
it's not gonna win you a championship. Like, this isn't a championship team.
Yeah. And now this is kind of doing the opposite argument that I did with Boston, but where I was like, you don't have enough DPS, and we're exiting GOATS meta, so you're going to need more DPS. Toronto only has 2 tanks, and we're in GOATS meta. Well, I guess...
One of the DPS probably can play Zarya.
That's what I was about to say. But that's about the only option. And, yeah, 2 tanks, 2 healers.
Oh, and they've got Asher, too.
3 healers. Never mind.
They've got Asher, who also had a short-lived Overwatch League.
Well, it was long-lived. It's just he didn't play. Like, he was there the whole time. He just didn't play. So, yeah, I feel like Toronto has potential. It's just not clear that they will have enough there.
Like, Neko was a good third person on a team, but I don't think he's going to be like a number 1 player on an Overwatch League team.
A lot of people are hyping him up to be like the most underrated player of all time or something, and it's like, I agree he's probably underrated because he just wasn't played, and he's good.
Well,
he just hasn't been played.
All-star last season.
Yeah, but it's not like he's gonna come in and like rival Jonak
or anything. Yeah. He's not Violet.
Okay. But yeah, so I think we can agree to put Toronto at 17. Now up to 16, you have the Dallas Fuel. I have Paris Eternal, which is weird because when we were making these lists, I was talking about how Dallas doesn't seem that much better, and you were like, well, they're like a whole new team, and I have them higher than you do. So maybe you convinced me too hard.
Well, if you look at our rankings, you've got Paris 16, Dallas 14. I've got Paris 14, Dallas 16.
Yeah. Man, looking at this list, it's so goofy, dude.
Which one?
Like, you even have Houston higher than me, and I'm a Houston boy.
Yeah.
This whole thing's weird. Anyway. I also have Shock higher than you, and you're a Shock boy. This is strange.
Dallas is just still kind of an unknown for me, personally, because RCK and Closer are good. They've got some pretty good DPS, but they've got like 4 or 5 DPS, which is
4.
A little strange. 4. Plus Zachary.
Well, that's 4 including Zachary.
Oh, he's included. Never mind. I'm sorry. Well, I'm sorry. Okay.
I didn't get angry. Now here's my argument for why I think they're not 16th. They have 3 healers, 3 tanks, 4 DPS. That leaves tons of room for flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
There's tons of room for flexibility there. If you need a brig, you bring in the Mick. If you don't, then you bring in the RCK. Now, some people's arguments are it's a lot of hit scan DPS specifically, but Zachary has been seen to be able to play
he's pretty flexible.
Projectile effect as well.
Will they play Zachary at all?
I think they will. I think they'll play. I wouldn't be surprised if it was like Zachary is our projectile boy. Honestly, I think they play effect every game and then cycle out the other 3.
The thing is, one thing that is weird to me is that they didn't get rid of Sleepy, or not Sleepy. Sorry, Mickey, because
I heard Arrow talk about it.
He's a good brig player, but yeah.
Arrow was talking about it, and he's like, "There's more to a player than just mechanical skill," and that's pretty much all he said. And I'm like, I can see that. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's literally just a morale booster.
But then like, switch him to coach and sign another off tank, or main tank, or just another player.
Honestly, a lot of this team really depends on RCK and closer.
Mm-hmm.
If they can pick up, then I think they'll be great. Because having effect back is huge. OGE is fantastic.
Yeah.
Unco is amazing.
I just don't remember closer being like, oh wow, closer's playing.
No, closer was just. Yeah, but do you remember that with Nuss? Like, oh man, Nuss is crazy good. No, but he is crazy good. It's just you don't go Nuss is a nutty healer.
Nuss is a nutty mercy.
Yeah, so I feel like it's the same with closer, where it's like he's good. It's just you don't go Jonak. You know what I mean?
Oh, and Unco's good too.
Unco's nuts.
So it just depends on how this team meshes. He was your only good player on your fantasy team for the.
Not true.
Who else did you get that was good?
OG.
Oh, Defran. Wow.
And Defran. Surefour.
Oh, fuck.
Kodak.
My team's better.
I do agree with that. I do agree your team's better, but my team's still pretty good. Now, we've already argued the Dallas Fuel side, how I think they should be higher than you think they should be.
Mm-hmm.
But now let's talk about Paris Eternal and why you think they should be higher than I think they should be.
I think they're a good team overall. They've got some good skill. And people, I feel like, are kind of underrating the Soon Shadowburn DPS line.
I do think that's a crazy DPS line. And with Nico and Danye as subs.
Who's Nico?
I don't know. It's an inside joke. I feel like we need to say that or we're going to get yelled at again for not knowing who Nico is. Yeah, anyway, continue.
They've got some pretty good tanks. I'm a little worried about the off tank for them, even though I took him in fantasy. That's LH Cloudy I'm referring to there. And then they've got Cruz, who's good, but the tanks and supports are kind of the weakest part. They're not, like, terrible, you know?
Tanks and supports are the weakest part?
Yeah, I think DPS is their strong suit.
But Cruz, Hip, and Gray are, like...
I know, but...
very hyped up.
Compared to their DPS, I mean.
Yeah, but if your DPS is crazy good and then your tanks are also good but not as good compared to your DPS just because your DPS are crazy good...
Yeah, well...
Wait, I just realized... I realized I'm supposed to be arguing as to why they're worse.
Yeah, you are.
No, I was just arguing like, yeah, but their tanks are great and their supports are great. And their DPS are great.
Anyway.
Let's put Dallas Fuel...
I think we kind of agree that Paris is a good team. Yeah. But people are kind of shitting on them because it's an all EU team,
I
and B,
still don't feel
underrating them.
right about putting Dallas at 16.
Mm-hmm.
Because their players are good.
So, what about the Charge? We are very different on.
Very different on.
So,
let's talk. You know what? I'm okay with putting Dallas here. I'm okay with putting Dallas here. Now 15. I put Houston. You put Guangzhou.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna tell you. You tell me why Guangzhou is so low at first.
They took however many players they have from anywhere in the entire world and just decided to put them all on a team.
They have 10 players.
That doesn't always work. Like, the team it's got some skill on it. They've got Kib, who was pretty nutty in the World Cup. But I don't think they're going to mesh very well. And it's going to be hard to do call-outs unless they go all one language, which could then hinder them again. So, I don't know. I'm a little worried about chemistry and fit with this team.
Here is my thing with Guangzhou Charge. Every coach that's been asked who is the most underrated team, like in the community, who's the most underrated team, all of them have said Guangzhou Charge. Because everyone's putting them bottom of the list. But every coach has said Guangzhou Charge is like surprising people, and they're very good.
Are you talking about the Monty tweet?
Monty tweet, and I think it was an Atlanta
I think Monty's
team.
was about Hangzhou, wasn't it?
No, he said
Sure?
He said Hangzhou is like the most impressive, but Guangzhou is the most the most underrated.
Okay.
And then I think someone from Atlanta did an AMA and also said Guangzhou is underrated. So that's the main thing I'm going on, because I'm going, if they're underrated, then that means they're probably meshing pretty well, and they do have some talent on this team.
Now I think 8 is very high, though, for where you have them.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So, how about, I think we could agree that they're probably an 11.
Wait, why don't we put Paris Eternal here?
Okay.
In like this 15 spot.
Okay.
So Paris Eternal at 15. And then where's your Houston Outlaws at? 13? And mine was at 15, so
we haven't talked about Houston yet.
No. Let's talk about Houston. Keep Guangzhou on the top of your brain.
Okay.
But we'll talk about Houston. Houston, my boys. My baby boys. It's so weird, because if you've listened to the podcast before, you know that every time we talk about power rankings, I go, why is Houston so low on all these power rankings? Yet I have them not, and the thing is, most of those power rankings have them like somewhere in the middle. I have them pretty low on the list.
Which is kind of weird.
It scared me. It surprised me. Also, I think it's easy to tell by now. I didn't think super hard about this list. I pounded it out before this.
Don't say that.
No, I pounded it out before.
That's like Matt Lauer saying he didn't do any research.
I mean, we did start like preparing for the podcast an hour and a half ago. So I did put like an hour of work into it. But it's not like I worked away for three months on this, is what I'm saying.
What's wrong with you?
But
Houston.
I do feel like Houston is lower than I thought they should be. But now looking at all the teams as I was putting them in, I was like, like you said with Toronto, I was like, I just don't think Houston's better than a lot of these teams.
Mm-hmm. The thing with Houston for me is they're pretty much the same team, which was a pretty good team.
Literally one map away from being in playoffs.
Yeah. So I kind of think they're just going to end up around there again and have the tortured fan base. So that's why I put them at 13, just outside of the playoffs.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
Here's the thing. I'm going to give I've got the roster in front of me here. I'm going to give a brief rundown, okay? Muma. I agree he used to be a bit overrated, but now, after World Cup, I think he's severely underrated. I think people saw him have one bad game. And, like, here's the thing. In the group stages, when, like, he was playing against... When they were playing against Canada and, like... I forget what other teams we faced. And they were completely crushing it. Everyone was like, Muma's so insane. And then he had one game... One really... Yes, it was very bad. But one bad game... And everyone's like, Muma's hugely overrated and he's trash. He's bad at the game. No, he's not. He's still crazy good. He just had a bad game. Everybody has a bad game.
Yeah, and the whole U.S. team was kind of dog shit there, too.
Yeah, he wasn't the only one doing bad.
It's like they didn't know how to play the meta that had been a thing for, 2 months.
Yeah. And then Bonnie... Or Banny, I don't know. I'm just going to say Bonnie. I hope that he is the new... he takes Raucus's place as flex support. Because he killed it on Zen at World Cup. Raucus didn't. The only issue there is then does Raucus take main healer?
Boink?
Does Boink?
Wait, who is... the other healer in for Canada? Bonnie and...
Crimzo,
right.
Yeah.
The thing with Raucus is, I don't think most people knew this, but it came to my knowledge recently that his dad had died during the season last year.
Yeah.
Which is, it's kind of hard to play...
When your dad has died?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been a while. And he's had, 8 months off? So I'm sure he's going to come back a lot better than he was before.
Here's the thing. If Raucus comes back and he's better than Bonnie at Zen, then he should play Zen. But it's just Bonnie recently has looked very good on Zen. So I think Boink, I don't know what his deal is going to be. I wouldn't be surprised if he kind of plays... Clockwork kind of role that Clockwork played last season, where it's like you play once in a while, but you're mostly an analyst kind of guy. Linkser, man, I hope he's consistent. Last season, not very consistent, but when he was on, baby boy. Spree, hopefully gets a lot more playtime. He's really good. He just didn't really get a chance to shine last season.
He should, because there's Zarya going into this season.
Arhan, he played 2 games. Hopefully he's been training and killing it, and maybe he's season MVP.
All right.
Raucus, we already talked about. Jake, I wouldn't be surprised if Jake is a bit of a bench warmer this season, unless they need his shot calling.
Didn't he sign an extension or something? Did I read that, or did I just have a dream?
I don't know. Dante, I think he'll be... Honestly, I think him and Linkser will start more often than not.
Probably.
Because Dante's a good tracer, Genji, a ton of other stuff.
Sombra.
Yeah. And then Cool Matt good. Cool Matt good diva boy. So that's the thing. Pretty much all of them I went pretty good. None of them went, they are a nutty player. So I hope they do really well. They probably will do pretty well. I am willing to put... I am more than willing to put them at 14.
No, where are we on the standings? Our ranking. What pick are we at?
14.
14.
I'm saying I'm willing to put them at 14 because I put them at 15. You put them at 13.
Yeah.
I'm willing to put them at
14's
14.
Is the Uprising on the list yet?
No.
Okay.
Ooh, I think Houston's going to be better than Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to put Boston 14, Houston 13?
Okay. I'll allow it.
I'd actually argue that Paris is going to do better than Boston, but I don't want to go down that route again.
So give me the teams that we've crossed off. We've got Florida, Justice, Uprising, Hunters, Paris, Outlaws, Fuel on the list. Correct?
You did it out of order, so I got lost. We have Florida, Washington, Chengdu, Toronto, Dallas, Paris, Boston, Outlaws.
Okay. And no Fuel?
No Fuel. I said Dallas.
Oh, okay.
Now, I'd argue that Paris is better than Boston.
Are we sure?
I am.
Boston's got...
Remember when we were talking about Paris and we were like, their DPS is good, their tanks are good, their support is good, and then we were talking about Boston, it's like, their 2 support are good, but it's their only supports.
They got 3.
Their tanks are good, and honestly, they're the same story. I just feel like Paris is more flexible. You know what? Let's just leave it. Want to just leave it?
Yeah, I think it's good.
Now 12.
Mm-hmm.
We got to put Guangzhou Charging in here somewhere.
I think they're 12.
You think they're 12?
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. Because that is high enough that I'm like, they're underrated, but low enough that it's not like, they're going to be the first team. All right. Now, we just rocketed past... Oh, no, we didn't. We only passed one team that we haven't talked about yet, and that is LA Valiant I had at 12.
Mm-hmm. I had them at 7.
So you think they are going to do significantly better than I think they're going to do.
Yes.
And then at 12, you had Boston. We both have Shanghai at 11.
Okay.
Want to just put Shanghai at 11?
That makes sense.
Convenient. Shanghai Dragons at 11. 10, I have Gladiators. You have Vancouver Titans. But keep in mind, I put Valiant at 12.
We do both have Atlanta at 9.
Let's not get there yet. We do both have Atlanta at 9, but I feel like this is going to be some... We have 3 teams to put... We're arguing for 3 different teams to be put at 10 right now.
Okay.
Valiant, Gladiators, and Titans before we even get to Reign.
Wait,
I think...
we have a...
What's
our 12th team?
Guangzhou, and then 11 was Shanghai.
Okay. Sorry. I'm sorry, sir.
It's
Sir,
okay.
I'm sorry.
It's okay, ma'am. So, Valiant I have quite lower than you do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what?
Do you want me to make my case?
Yes.
2 of the best tanks in the league. By far. Both top 5.
Space and Fate?
Yes. They've got Custa.
Yeah.
They've got KSF, who I've heard is a nut job. Who's the other DPS?
Here's the thing about KSF. I have also heard he's a nut job, but he played a couple matches last season and failed. So if he has his stage confidence up, I think he could really kill it.
They've got Kareev, who's apparently a DPS now.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. I guess that's just Brigitte. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Who are the other? They have Yakus.
Bunny. They've Kuki as a sub tank, and then they have Bunny and Agilities also on DPS.
Oh right, Agility is stupid.
And then the only one we haven't mentioned is the only other healer other than Custa now is Izayaki.
Mm-hmm. And he's good.
Yeah.
From what I've heard.
Yeah, you've convinced me. I feel like Yeah, you've convinced me. That was an easy convince. Now here's my argument.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, sir.
We both put Atlanta Reign at 9.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna put them in there. We'll talk about them in a sec. I'm gonna put them in at 9. I'm willing to put the Valiant at 8.
Okay.
Because you have them at 7, and in 8 I had Guangzhou Charge, who we've already put in.
Mm-hmm. But then who goes into 10?
Either the Titans or the Gladiators. Actually,
Interesting.
Or the Valiant.
Let's put Valiant 10.
You think Valiant 10 is okay?
I think Valiant's 10.
Okay. I'm okay with that. Atlanta 9, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Now, 8, you have Hangzhou Spark. I have Vancouver... No, at 8, I have Guangzhou Charge. You have Hangzhou Spark.
Mm-hmm.
And you had Vancouver Titans at 10, which is interesting to me.
So
I think you hate Runaway.
No. I think they're not going to get off to a hot start. Okay. But then they're going to kind of bring it back near the end of the season.
So you think they're going to spend most of the season around the 13 to 15 range, and then in the end they'll bring it up to 10?
I honestly think they're just going to be hovering around like 12 until stage 3, and then pop up to 10 or 9 or somewhere around there.
Now, I have Vancouver at 5. Because in my mind, they are a full team that has been a team for a while. The only thing that I think could hold them back is pressure. Everything else I think is going for them. They're all together.
That's my reason for the slow start. Because people are coming in, they're like, Vancouver
so you think once
is the best boy.
So you think once they go, no one's really like putting pressure on us anymore. I'm gonna be good now.
Or it's just they get into the season, they're like, okay, I'm used to playing on stage and people, which they kind of are from their past days. But it's a little different moving to another country. All that. They just got to LA. The season starts in a week. Yeah.
But here's the thing. That doesn't mean they haven't been practicing up to this point.
No, I mean, it's just like you're moving to LA, and then you start playing it the next week.
Yeah, that is
it's just a little much. Like, I just think they're going to be a little slow to start, and then they're going to pick it up, and then they're going to make it into the playoffs, my boy. I would concede that they're probably... What are we at now?
We're at 8. I put them at 5. I don't think they're 8.
I could see them at 7.
Okay, I can agree.
That's the most I'll extend to you. If you ask for any more, it's a no-no.
Thank you for extending that olive branch. Now at 8, I'm okay with... Oh, wait, no, never mind. I was about to give you too much of a branch. You have Hangzhou Spark, who I have, at 2.
Yes. My reasoning for the Spark is they aren't really a pre-formulated team. Their players are kind of nutty, and I'm sure they have some synergy now, but they've never played on the stage this consistently against all these teams that are strategizing as much. Like, they've never played under this much pressure as a team. So again, I'm saying slow start.
I disagree.
I'm not saying the players are bad, obviously.
I know. Well, you did say the players are good.
Yes. Well, but I'm not saying they're bad.
Yeah. That's why you said they're good.
Oh, hold on one second. Okay.
Like you said, players good. Crystal and Gushui and Godsby, very big names. big boy names. They've impressed a lot. And alongside this, they have been called out as the biggest, other than like NYXL, one of the bigger threats in scrims.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's all great, and it's very good. And maybe 2 is a little high, but I do think they are going to be very high up there. I just think everything about their management seems to be going right as well. With the colors.
You just like the colors.
No. Here's the thing.
First thing you mentioned.
Here's the thing. Nope, it's actually like the 4th thing I mentioned. Mm-hmm. But the colors, the logo, the branding online, everything about it. It just shows that the management cares.
Mm-hmm.
And if you got good management and you got good players, it's tough. It's a little tough to go wrong.
Hit me with the list.
Our list or the list of players?
What are we trying to...
I have them at 2. You have them at 8. We are arguing for what's going to be at 8. Now here's
what I'll do. Keep Hangzhou in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
I've got Gladiators 4. You've got them 10.
I was about to say that.
I can give you them at 8. I will allow it.
Gladiators at 8?
Mm-hmm.
That seems right to me.
Reason being, Roar and Decay may not be as good as people say initially.
Let's talk a sec about Gladiators.
Mm-hmm.
They've got Roar, they've got Bishu, they've got Panker, they've got Void. That's a good tank line.
Yes. Panker, don't know who that is anyway. He is on a 2-way, I believe.
Yeah. DPS, they have Hydration, Surefour, and Decay. A lot of people saying Surefour's not going to play. He's going to play.
You just like him because he's Canadian.
No, but he's going to play. Everyone's saying Decay's just going to replace him and Hydration's going to play in his place.
Can we put another pin in this for a second? There's this thing in the NBA where the NBA moms have like their own Twitter. You know how there's like NBA Twitter, politics Twitter? There's an NBA mom Twitter. I realized a couple days ago that there's an Overwatch League mom Twitter. The only 2 I've found so far are Hydration and Lynxers. But I'm sure there's more.
I have seen Hydration's mom reply to a couple of things before.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, who else was it? I saw one. I saw Zachary's mom.
Oh yeah,
reply to something before.
So I'm excited about that.
You're excited about moms.
Yeah, I like moms on Twitter.
So
that's kind of creepy.
Now, here's the thing. Gladiators, they're looking good. They did lose Fissure, which is big because they were a garbage trash team before they got Fissure, and then they became a very good team.
Who was their tank before Fissure?
It was iRemix.
Oh, right, yeah. And Roar was an upgrade on iRemix. Oh.
Yeah. So
Panker,
if Roar proves to be good, I think they'll be good.
And I think he will.
He will.
So I'm gonna let you put them at 8.
I think 8 is good, because that sounds right.
Yeah.
That just seems right in where it is. I think they're not quite as good as Runaway has shown that they are, but I do think that LA has the chemistry and the skill to be a little better than Atlanta, which we haven't actually talked about Atlanta yet. We kind of just skipped past them.
Mm-hmm.
So let's briefly talk about Atlanta. A real quickie-dickie.
So why did you put them in?
At 9?
Mm-hmm.
I put them at 9 because I think that they're going to surprise people a little bit with how good they work, how well they work together, because a lot of people are like, it's a melting pot of different nationalities and it's going to be bad. But like, I've seen a bunch of the Atlanta guys play together on stream and they destroy. And even when they don't destroy, they've still got good chemistry. And they're at least having fun. Like, Dafran and Dako laughing together is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. Because Dako is hilarious. And apparently Massa is, like, a crazy good shot caller. Like, his shot calling is next level, boy. And Kodak, that's a pop-off, boy. I think that's... He's not...
I think the team's underrated.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to mix very well.
Yeah. And they've got room for growth as well. They've only got 8.
And also, I feel like people are just, like, trying to put down Dafran as, like, he's a chemistry destroyer.
Yeah.
Which I don't... Like, he's a funny guy.
Yeah.
That's his thing.
He, like, I think someone asked, was it Gator? It was either Gator or Nlayer, or Nlayer, asked them on Reddit what it was like living with Dafran, and they were like, apart from the odd, really loud "let's go" dude, he's actually pretty quiet. And I'm like, that's kind of funny. But it was kind of cool watching Dafran's player highlight that Atlanta uploaded, because he was like, I feel like a lot of people think I'm going to get into drama and blow up mid-season, but I'm really enjoying myself, so I think I'll be fine. And it's like, hearing him acknowledge that gives me a lot more confidence that he's not going to blow up, because he's like, I know you guys think I'm going to suck. but he also said he thinks he's overrated at the same time. He's like, yeah. So I think it's in the middle ground. He's not going to blow up and ruin the league. He's not going to pop off and be better than, like, every player. And then the rest of the team is just great. Erster, Kodak, Massa, the Dako Pokpo tank line's great. Like, having a good tank line, good DPS, they just look good, and they've got room for growth. So
back to 8. We want to put.
We already put LA Gladiators at 8.
Okay, so
I'm okay
9.
with
we have Atlanta.
It goes 9 Atlanta.
7.
7 we put Vancouver Titans.
Okay.
So we're at 6.
Okay.
I put Philly Fusion. You put San Francisco Shock.
Why do you think the Shockers that high?
I think the Shock are that high because they've been patient. They've been patient boys, and they've got so many options on their team. As far as tanks go, Choi Hyobin, they're really hoping that he's going to do well, but if he doesn't, they've got Nevix, who has proven to be consistently good. They've got Smurf and Super. I don't know who's going to start.
I think they'll probably switch out depending on map.
Yeah. But Smurf, I've heard good things about. Super was pretty good. But honestly, I think Smurf being here just to push Super will be enough for Super to be good.
Because, like, Nomi and Super, it was kind of no contest.
Yeah.
So.
Poor Nomi. And then Moth is great. He's just great at healing people. And then they've got Violet, who I think, as you've told me a billion times, is the better than Jonak boy. I think he's gonna do quite well. And if he doesn't, Sleepy was also an all-star last season. He's just good. Sleepy's also good. So if Violet doesn't work out, I think Sleepy's a more than okay backup. And then their DPS line is nutty. The only thing that I think San Francisco Shock is suffering from is they have people like Baby Bay, Architect, and Sinatra who will probably be riding the bench more often than not.
Because they've got Rascal and Striker to play. Now, Architect, I've seen a lot of trade rumors. Kind of makes sense, but I feel like if you're going to trade Architect, you have to package him with someone else.
Like a Baby Bay.
Yeah, like Baby Bay.
Because here's the thing. Baby Bay's good, And I think he could honestly be a starter for a team. But looking at this team, there's no way he gets pretty much any play time.
Like, Boston could be a good place for him.
Yep.
It's a lot of NA players.
Yeah. Honestly, that would be fantastic. Because they've only got 2 boys.
Yeah, so you trade away Baby Bay and Architect to Boston for... I don't know. They don't even need anything. Transfer them for money, I guess.
Yeah.
Or just transfer Baby Bay for money. I don't know. And then you've got 4 DPS. Maybe if Sinatra is being troubled, you try and figure out something to do with him, because he's not... Like, Sinatra's not going to be the best DPS on your team. I don't think. At least right now.
Which is funny, because he was paid the most last season. I think other than Siegel, right?
Yeah. I think he could be good if he figures out, like, the personality stuff. Because did you see the Kefri tweets over the weekend?
No.
So he played with Kefri, and then Kefri was like, wow, you're going to report me to the thing? And then he just went after him. Like
he went after Sinatra, or Sinatra went after
Kefri?
Kefri?
Went after Sinatra, and then Sinatra was just, like, being a little child. Well, and they were both kind of being little children, but just don't. Here's how you fix that. You just don't answer.
Yeah.
Then what happens? Nothing.
Yep.
You're already getting paid a lot. He's in Contenders. That's it.
Yeah.
So
I think San Francisco is higher on the list than 6. I think they're higher on the list than 6.
Now, the only reason I put them at 6 is just this is a lot of hype around a team that I feel like they won't live up to the hype quite as much, and then people are going to be like, wow, San Francisco's choking, even though no one in San Francisco said they were going to be top 3.
That's true. So, well, I bet Sinatra would if you asked him.
Yeah, but that doesn't count. That's like asking a toddler if their dad's a super.
That's true. That
doesn't really count.
Now I'm gonna make a proposal to you. We're at 6. I have Philly Fusion at 6. Mm-hmm. You have Philly Fusion at 5.
Let's put Philly Fusion
at 6.
Fusion, good team. Poco, good. I'm glad he's probably gonna play more.
Yeah. Well, he's gonna play for sure.
Yeah. Carpe, obviously good.
Yep. EQO is just a DPS god.
And then they've got Sato, who's I feel like slightly underrated, but not like he's not like the best main tank. But he's better
than Fraggy. Well, here's the thing: if you watched World Cup, Fraggy did really well. But it was also because they were pumping so many resources into him.
Yeah, and I don't think that's the way that Philly wants to play. So
no, I think they want to work around Carpe and EQO, and they've still got Snillo on a 2-way. I think now he's on a 2-way.
Yeah, he's on Fusion University.
Yep, and same with Elk. Or no, Elk's just on now, isn't he?
No, he's 2-way.
Okay, 2-way.
Unless they like re-signed a contract, but
like here's the thing, they've added some and taken away some, but for the most part, it's the same team. Carpe, EQO, DPS, Poco, Sato, Tank, Boombox, Neptuno, healing. And that worked last season. It'll work this season.
Yeah. And we kind of have them around the same place they finished last season.
Yeah.
Actually, the exact same place they finished last season.
Now, 5, I had Vancouver Titans. You had LA Gladiators.
So both teams are much lower now.
Yeah, we put both of those.
So what if we put Shock at 5?
Okay.
And then we still haven't talked about Seoul.
Oh yeah, so I had Seoul at 7. Honestly, I think Seoul would be better for 5.
Yeah, let me make my case for number 2 Seoul.
Oh, you have them at number 2. Wowzers. I had them at 7.
So, Fissure, Fleta, DPS partners Little Leffy, Ryu Jaehong, Fuck, I can't remember the other tanks, but they're a very good team, and they upgraded
Michelle,
a lot.
Zunba, and Marvel.
Right. Very good team. They upgraded a lot, changed a lot of their coaches. I don't think they're going to be the train wreck they were last year.
I agree.
Actually, I kind of know they aren't going to be the train wreck they were last year because they're not at all really the same team as they were last year. They just have a couple of the same players.
Yeah. I agree. That's why I had them somewhat high. Don't know if they're 2. I don't think they're 2.
Now, here's the thing. Fissure comes onto a Gladiators team. Not good. Seoul, they're pretty good. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
And they've got one of like the top 3 DPS in the league. One of the top 3 or 4 healers in the league. You couldn't have said that about the Gladiators when he joined them. So I think he has
I'm willing to put Seoul Dynasty at 4.
Okay. So what spot do we need to fill now?
We're at the top 4, baby, or top 3, baby. I put Shock at 5.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
I'm okay with that.
So top 3, we still don't have Spark in there.
Here's the thing. Yeah, we still don't have Spark in here. I'm willing to put Spark at 3 if you're okay with that.
We're missing Spark, London, and New York. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so Spark 3. Now, London and New York. Here's my thing about London. They didn't finish first in the league, even though they won the championship. Which is okay. Like, they still won the championship. That's all that matters. But they're basically still that 6th place team that they were before. Now, will they improve over the offseason? Obviously, they will. I'm just not sure how much. And I honestly don't even feel good about putting them this high.
Yeah.
But
I put them lower. I put them at
You put them at 4.
I put them at 4.
I put them at 3.
Yeah.
But I feel like you kind of have to. Because they are such a good team.
They are a very good team. They're their core is really good.
Yeah. So, like, what's going to stop them from having a mid-season or like a stage breakdown like they did last year? Like, nothing's changed, really, on the team.
Yeah.
So, why couldn't they have a down 3rd stage again? It's just kind of it's a weird team because they did win, but they also weren't like the best team in the league.
Yeah.
New York was the best team in the league.
And that was obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm looking at the list.
We can. Okay,
Neither of us had London at 2.
Yeah.
But we're putting London at 2 right now, so I feel like we need to have a chat.
Uh-huh. So I've got Dynasty at 2. You got Hangzhou at 2.
I'm willing.
Read me the top 5 right now.
The top 5 are New York, London, Hangzhou, Seoul, Shock.
Yeah, this is kind of a rough spot that we're in here because we didn't have London 2nd. We both had kind of like out of nowhere picks at 2nd. That's what's making London 2nd.
Do you want to put London at 4 and then just bump the rest up?
So then it's Hangzhou, Shock at 2-3?
Hangzhou, Seoul, 2-3.
Okay.
You okay with that? how do you spell Excelsior? Excelsior, got it. And then London at 4, we said, right?
Mm-hmm. And then New York at 1. Do you have anything to say about London, or do you just kind of agree with what I said?
I kind of just agree with what you said.
Yeah.
They are a good team. It's just they weren't very consistent last season. If they nail their consistency, they're going to be higher. Mm-hmm. It's just I think they are somewhat overrated just because they kind of had a great start and a great finish, and those are the things people remember the most.
Like Stage 2 wasn't bad for them.
Stage 3 was.
Yeah. And we're not saying, like, we know they didn't go 0-10 in Stage 3, but it was still just, it's just kind of like, woo.
Yeah.
Up, down, up. Which is good if you want people to think you're the best team in the league. But they just weren't the best team in the league.
Yeah.
Until they won the championship.
And then
the XL's been sandbagging for months, apparently. Here's another thing. I'm going to switch to the XL real quick.
Okay.
I'm not even sure how good they are anymore. Because they didn't sandbag in the playoffs. You know?
Yeah.
And they lost in one of the first rounds. So it seems like this is more of a symbolic number 1 than them actually deserving it. Because they didn't change anything either. So how do we know that people aren't just going to train for their team and then XL falls to 5th or 6th spot? But there's no one else that you can really...
Wait, you're saying the XL shouldn't be number 1?
No, it's just I feel weird about putting them there because I'm conflicted. They're likely going to be the best team in the league, but who's to say that they don't struggle?
I mean, but you could say that about any team.
I know, but people are just unanimously putting XL number 1 or number 2.
And do you want to be different?
I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm just questioning it.
I know. I get what you're saying, but like we said,
I'm not saying we move them down from number 1 because that's just.
I know.
I don't think that's right.
As you're saying, or as we were saying before, we're fully basing this off what we know, what we've heard, and what we feel, and that's pretty much all of those things point to New York just being consistent.
Yeah.
Now, just for a visual cue, for those of you watching, for those of you listening, you got to just make the list in your brain. We'll read it out a couple more times. But for those of you watching, here is the official Broverwatch podcast power rankings. These are them. Should I read it out?
I can't read it, so yeah.
At number 1, we have New York Excelsior, based on their consistency last season and them being the best team last season. They didn't make many changes to their roster, but they didn't really need to. Number 2, we have Hangzhou Spark, reportedly one of the most threatening new-coming teams, with some star players in Gushui and Crystal, as well as some clearly good management behind them. And I'm pretty sure their coach is the Team China coach, right?
I have no idea.
Nice. In third, we have Seoul Dynasty, based mainly on the fact that Fissure saved the Gladiators from being a bad team, so maybe he can save the Dynasty from being an okay team.
And they switched up their entire coaching staff, which was one of the main problems.
Yeah.
It went from 4 coaches to 1, which I think is probably a good idea.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah. The only thing I'm concerned about is their DPS. Fled is consistent, but then they have Munchkin.
Well, it's not at least for the first stage, it's not a DPS heavy
Yeah.
lineup.
And I don't know much about Fitz.
Team comp.
Hopefully he's good.
Yeah, I don't either. But they picked him up. So.
Yeah. Then fourth, we have London Spitfire. Clearly a good team considering they won last season, but not very consistent last season. So if they find the consistency, they could find themselves higher. But as of right now, top 5 sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
And they're one of the few teams that is just sticking to like a core 6. They've brought in Krillin and Guard.
So they have 8 now.
They have 8 now. So they have Krillin and Guard, but the rest is just their core 6 that they strip down.
Will Krillin and Guard play a lot?
We'll see.
Probably not.
Probably not. Number 5, we have the San Francisco Shock, with a clear, large amount of flexibility with the only full 12-man roster so far this season. They clearly have a lot of talent and a lot of flexibility with each role. The only concern will be if they have too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah. I'm agreeing with this. I like it.
At number 6, we have the Philadelphia Fusion, the runners-up from last season. Not making too many changes, just bringing in a couple little boys in to help. But with keeping their core 6 of Carpe, EQO, Poco, Sado, Boombox, and Neptuno. They didn't really have to change much, but they do have a couple more options now this season.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll be depending on that DPS line mostly. And some big Poco bombs.
Yes.
At number 7, we have the Vancouver Titans. Straight up bringing a contenders team, a full contenders team in Runaway to the Overwatch League. Very hyped up team, and that may be their downfall. The only things really bringing this team down are the hype and possibly the, the sudden change in lifestyle. All of a sudden, they went from playing contenders in Korea to all of a sudden the big stage in LA. And with not much time to adjust. So with at risk of a slow start, hopefully these boys can pick it up quick and move up in the ranks.
Pick it up.
At number 8, we have the LA Gladiators. They were quite good last season, kind of picked it up once Fissure was added, but now that they don't have Fissure, it's kind of a question of whether or not the new boys, Roar and Panker, can pick up Fissure's slack. Or Fissure's lack of existing on this team is what I'm saying.
Fissure's death to the Gladiator.
Yeah. But with a good DPS lineup in Hydration, Surefour, and Decay, and a solid healing line in Big Goose, Shaz, and Ripa, they are looking to be maybe not as consistent and good as last season, but pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
At 9, we have the Atlanta Reign. Let's go, dude, as they say.
Are you a newscaster?
I don't know. Not the largest roster at the minimum of 8, but they already have some flexibility in this lineup with 3 in each role except DPS at 2, but support at 2, but with a solid support 9 nonetheless with Kodak and Massa. They'll be depending on the pop-off ability of people like Erster and Defran, and the solid tank line of Dako and Pokpo, who have proven themselves to be quite the duo in the past.
Should we just stop these things at number 10? Because it's going to take a long time to do 20 of them. Yeah,
we'll make the ones after 10 shorter because we care less about them.
Because they're just trash.
Yeah. At number 10, we have the LA Valiant. Pretty much a similar team to last season. These guys were pretty consistently good throughout the season, and then really stepped it up near the end, landing themselves a playoff spot, and even upsetting... They upset the New York, right?
Valiant?
Yeah.
I think in one of the stage playoffs.
Right, it was the stage playoffs that they upset. Anyway, they're good.
Actually, stop at 12. Because that's when the playoffs contention ends.
Okay. At number 11, dude, it's so sad that playoff contention ends at 12 and Houston is 13, just like last season, just missing out. That's appropriate, though.
Well, they deserve it.
At 11, we have the Shanghai Dragons. Worst team last season, hands down. But is this even the same team?
I think that's debatable. Now.
But are they even the same team this season? Barely.
I don't think so.
With different management, different coaches, and pretty much all completely different players. They're looking to shatter the legacy that Shanghai has given to themselves. Looking to be quite good. With
mostly made of Kongdu Panthera.
Correct. And reports from Gagiri say that the team is meshing well.
Thank you, Gagiri.
Thank you.
Go back.
Thank you, Gagiri. Post more Kermit memes, please. At number 12, we have the Guangzhou.
Do you think Gagiri's mom has Twitter?
I hope so. At number 12, we have the Guangzhou Charge. Not much is known about this team, other than the fact that it is pretty much full Korean plus Kib and who's the other one?
I don't remember.
That is not Korean. I guess I could just read the names.
Is it just full Korean except for Kib?
Unless I'm bad at recognizing Korean names, yes.
That's kind of weird.
Anyway, but reports from coaches and analysts and casters say that Guangzhou Charge is the most underrated team among the Overwatch community. So
why did they pick up a British guy on a? Everyone knows the Brits hate the Koreans.
Anyway, they're looking pretty. They're looking pretty good, especially if the rumors that they are severely underrated are true. Now, just to rocket through these last ones, because they're not going to make the playoffs if everything goes according to our plan. Houston, we said that they're just going to probably float around the same place they did last season, and it's appropriate that they just miss out on playoffs because that happened last season. Sad, cry face. Boston Uprising made quite a few changes, but not quite flexible enough to be considered a top-tier team at this point. Paris Eternal, although they do have some solid pickups in each area, it's just a question of whether or not the EU talent is enough to match up against the many, many Korean talent teams, I guess, is the analysis there.
I think so.
Dallas Fuel, although they seem to have been refocused with Arrow at the helm and a new off-tank and some new DPS, it's just a question of whether they can manage their DPS correctly and whether RCK and Closer can save this team from being the most disappointing team in the entire league again. Toronto Defiant, they just seem like a B team. Yeah. And hopefully they can pick it up, but we'll have to see. The Chengdu Hunters, although we both think that they will be somewhat underrated, they still don't seem like they're going to be better than most teams, with some big names, but not enough previous chemistry to warrant a higher spot. Washington Justice,
weird team.
They've got some big names. They've got Giannis, they've got Otto, they've got Corey, but management seems weird. Everything seems weird.
Yes. And
last and least, we have the Florida Mayhem, who everything just seems wrong about everything.
Mm-hmm.
And Vic is now the team bus driver. And that is all.
That's true. Now, I would like to do one more segment before we end this show.
Okay.
I would like you to tell you who I bet on for Stage 1 winner and overall winner of the Overwatch League.
You already bet on overall winner?
Yes.
Is it like a thing where if you bet before the season starts, you get more money or something?
You get better odds.
Okay.
Now, I made 3 bets for stage 1 winner. I will explain to you why. It's called hedging.
Your bets.
Number 1, I bet on Excelsior. That is the one that I'm expecting to win.
How much money would you win if you won that?
I'd get a total of $7 for a $2.50 bet. Now, if the Atlanta Reign wins stage 1,
oh my goodness,
I'm gonna get $35.56, baby.
That's decent.
Now, if the Vancouver Titans win stage 1, I'm gonna get $20.42.
Interesting.
Those are my stage 1 bets. Now I've got the San Francisco Shock as the overall winner of the league, baby boy. You want to know why?
Why?
$18 back, and also I think they could slippy dippy out if some teams fall down. Well,
you think?
I was
just gonna say you think they will be consistent as others may fluctuate.
I think they could pull a London from last year. One more bet. And if you are a writer on Game of Thrones, please do this for me. If resurrected Ned Stark sits on the Iron Throne at the end of Season 8, I win $196, and I need it now, please. I'm getting scammed on eBay. Please give me the money. Game of Thrones writer, who I will tweet at every day unless you do this.
I hate you. So Calder bet on the Game of Thrones finale, having never seen an episode.
I watched the first 3.
Oh, nice.
And then that kid got disabled, and I was like, I don't really care about this.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
And as for the scammed on eBay thing, he's just getting scammed on eBay. Anyway, these are our power rankings for the league. Honestly, I'm pretty happy with it. It looks pretty good to me. Let us know how much you hate it in the comments below, or tweet at us at the Broverwatch, telling us that we're absolute dog trash. And follow us.
Why are you giving them so many options to hate us?
Because here's the thing: nobody agrees with anybody's power rankings.
That's kind of true.
Yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at the Broverwatch, and go to www.thebroverwatch.com to catch articles and also find all of our social media stuff there, including our email if you want to have a serious complaint about the podcast. I don't know. Or tell us you love it.
Email us and say, I will give you $1 million if you stop.
Honestly, if you have $1 million for us to stop this, we will.
Yeah, that's true.
And we'll just start another one called
Bye-bye.
the Broverwatch, and we have puppets.
Oh, I thought we were gonna just dress up as girls.
No, that would be the
Cross-dresser watch.
Anyway, everybody, like I said, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Let us know how you like it. Give us feedback. We're always trying to make this show a little more engaging if it isn't already. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We love you. We appreciate you. Kissy kiss. Go play Reaper and ruin someone's day.
Mm-hmm.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
We love you. Bye-bye.
I've got to...
Wait, what?
I've got to pee.
Okay.